another week has just gone by, and here we are again on another edition of Culture Mosaic on BTV International. In the next 30 minutes, we'll have the chance to meet with a choreographer who wowed Hanoi audiences with his intensely personal solo pieces on stage. Later on, let's discover the beauty of some magnificent cathedrals in Nam Định province, which is known as the cradle of Catholicism in Vietnam. And here come the headlines for the show. Memory of late Vietnamese rocker still lives on. Talk with a choreographer who has evolved into a highly sought-after contemporary dancer in recent years. Visiting Nam Định province, land of magnificent cathedrals. We now review cultural highlights from the past week. The Vĩnh Nghiêm Pagoda in Bắc Giang province received the recognition of a special national relic site on Sunday. Vĩnh Nghiêm Pagoda was built in the 11th century under the Lý dynasty. Having been repaired 14 times, the pagoda has maintained its original architecture. The pagoda has preserved a collection of 3,050 wood blocks, which were recognized as a World Documentary Heritage by UNESCO in 2012. At the certification granting ceremony, Deputy Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc urged Bắc Giang province to work out a plan to preserve Vĩnh Nghiêm Pagoda together with Yên Tử complex and submit the dossier to UNESCO for recognition as a World Heritage Site. Now, the Prime Minister has approved for the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism to formally propose to UNESCO that swan singing in Phú Thọ province be added as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The ministry has been asked to work with the Vietnam National Commission for UNESCO to submit the document by March the 31st. Swan singing, one of the oldest forms of Vietnamese performing arts, is said to date back from the time of the Hùng Kings, the first dynasty in Vietnam. Song of swan singings originate from ancient villages in northern Vietnam. Since 2011, swan singing in Phú Thọ was listed by UNESCO among the world's intangible cultural heritages in need of urgent protection. Last week, the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism officially recognized the Mekong Delta city of Cần Thơ Cái Răng floating market as a national intangible cultural heritage. Determined to cherish the long-standing market's tourism appeal, Cần Thơ city has also approved a preservation plan. According to the new preservation plan, Cái Răng floating market will mostly be maintained as it is. A market management board will be formed. The market's preservation plan has been underway with a campaign to raise public awareness over the need for environmental protection, traffic safety, and tourism promotion. The plan will run until 2020. Now, thousands of visitors flock to Japan this time of the year to watch the blooming of cherry blossoms. But for many Hanoi residents, they now have the opportunity to see this flower without having to travel to Japan, with over 10,000 branches of cherry blossoms on display at Lý Thái Tổ Garden last weekend.
From the famous Torii Gate to 10,000 branches of cherry blossoms imported from Japan and performances by Japanese artists, local residents can be submerged in Japanese culture right here in the capital city.
Trước đây thì tôi cũng cách đây 6-7 năm thì tôi cũng nhìn thấy hoa anh đào bên Pháp, nhưng lúc đấy tôi chưa cảm nhận được cái đẹp. Về đây thì tôi trực tiếp ngắm thì tôi thấy hoa rất đẹp.
I feel very happy to have the opportunity to see cherry blossoms in a warm climate like Vietnam. I also feel very proud of it.
10,000 cherry blossom stems were arranged and combined with local flowers by the florist Haru Sakura. The arrangements are meant to convey the message of human solidarity through the use of different flowers.
The Japanese cherry blossoms in Vietnam convey the desire to connect the two countries. So I hope everyone can feel the beauty of the cherry blossoms, not just the physical beauty, but the spirit of it as well.
The gifts of 200 cherry blossom trees from Japan adds to the numerous flowers on display at the Cherry Blossom Festival. After the festival, the trees will be transferred to Hòa Bình Park in Bắc Từ Liêm district, where Japanese experts will continue tending to them.
Now, more than 1,000 chefs from 100 countries prepared a French-style dinner on March the 21st. This was one of the Taste of France event aimed at promoting French cuisine and culinary arts. In Vietnam, 25 restaurants in Hanoi, Huế, Hội An in Da Nang, and Ho Chi Minh City participated in this event. The chefs prepared dishes from French ingredients and skillfully incorporated the spices of Vietnam.
Đào Văn Sơn, a chef at the Le Table du Chef restaurant, has more than 20 years of experience in making French dishes. He made shrimp rolled in soft cabbage and chicken grilled with French butter, along with kim cương mushroom.
Bắp cải xếp lớp cùng với tôm và trứng cá sấy khô, tỏi giòn trứng cá nhập của Pháp. Dựa trên công thức là mang thuần chủng món ăn của Pháp, nhưng mà kết hợp cùng với một số gia vị như là tủy bò, dầu giấm Việt Nam.
Across town at the same time in the JW Marriott Hanoi, Raphael, a French chef, was cooking foie gras and grilled chicken. He saw the event as a good opportunity for him to introduce French cuisine to Vietnamese people.
I want to give customers a typical French menu. Some ingredients like the chickens were imported from France. However, some food decorations and vegetables were produced in Vietnam, and they are organic products. This proves that there are a lot of high-quality products in Vietnam which have been used in big hotels.
Vị đậm đà của gà Pháp này hòa trộn với các cái vị rau quả của Việt Nam tạo nên một hương vị rất là hấp dẫn. Mình rất là hài lòng với món ăn của mình ngày hôm nay.
Many high school students and French language learners were also warmly welcomed at French Embassy to enjoy French cuisine.
This dinner at the French Embassy is an educational way for Vietnamese students to know more about French cuisine and culture. I'm very glad to share this dinner with all of them.
This is the second time the Taste of France event took place in Vietnam, and this year saw 25 restaurants participating on the 17 last year.
With a well-known rock back catalog, Trần Lập, the leader of Bức Tường of the World, the country's most famous rock band, won the hearts of many audiences over 2 decades. He recently passed away after a 4-month battle against cancer at the age of 42, leaving rock lovers across the country in mourning. In the following report, we'll see how his spirit has inspired fans and cancer patients, and take a look at the place he holds in the hearts of today's music lovers.
Xin cảm ơn. Vâng, cuộc đời là những chuyến đi dài. Chuyến đi của số phận đã đưa tôi đến một con đường khác.
Born in 1974, Trần Lập was a widely known Vietnamese rock star and songwriter. At the age of 21, he joined his friends to form the band Bức Tường of the World, which quickly became the country's most famous rock band.
Cùng trèo lên đỉnh núi cao vời vợi để ta khắc tên mình trên đời.
With inspiring lyrics of profound thoughts about life, Trần Lập music has been a source of inspiration for generations of audiences.
Em nghe nhạc từ hồi lúc khoảng khi em học cấp 3. Khi mà mình nghe nhạc của anh Lập thì cái chí hướng mình muốn vươn cao hơn, hay mình mỗi khi mà mệt mỏi hay là cảm tưởng gục ngã thì những cái bài hát đó sẽ giúp em có cái niềm tin trong cuộc sống hơn.
Cảm thấy nó rất gần, rất thực và nó có những cái mà nó khơi cho mình cái nguồn cảm hứng, tức là già vẫn run rẩy, vẫn đứng, tức là vẫn muốn là có cái gì đó máu lửa mà nó thật từ trong tâm.
Anh ấy luôn chan hòa, luôn gần gũi và sẵn sàng sẻ chia tất cả mọi thứ đối với các nghệ sĩ. Tôi có rất nhiều những cái lần được làm việc với anh ấy và đã được anh ấy viết tặng cho một ca khúc mà tôi đã thể hiện trong cái album của mình.
Ta hãy sống trong tình yêu, xin cho con tim.
Diagnosed with rectal cancer in late 2015, Trần Lập kept a positive attitude, a strong will to fight against the sickness, and an endless passion for music. In January 2016, he gave his last performance at the show titled Hands Light Fire.
Ngày hôm qua như trong giấc mơ, bao xa cách.
Vâng, cuộc đời là những chuyến đi dài và chuyến đi của số phận đã đưa tôi đến một con đường khác. Có thể nó sẽ có nhiều cam go hơn, nhưng tôi tin rằng với sự động viên, với sự sát cánh của tất cả gia đình, bạn bè và đặc biệt là sự cổ vũ của tất cả các quý vị khán giả sẽ làm tôi vững vàng hơn.
Hụt hẫng, rất là hụt hẫng. Đến hiện tại, đến bây giờ em vẫn không tin là cái anh Lập đã ra đi.
Anh không sợ hãi mà ngược lại là anh còn chuẩn bị cho mọi người. Anh còn mạnh mẽ hơn mọi người, là cả mọi người giúp cho mọi người đừng sợ.
Receiving the news, Trần Lập fans in Vietnam and abroad have organized many activities to commemorate the late rocker. One among which is a music video with thousands of fans and artists singing his highly acclaimed song, Road to Glory.
Âm nhạc mạnh mẽ, ca từ ý nghĩa, rồi là cái tinh thần trong ca khúc đó nó luôn sôi sục, nó luôn hướng tới một cái tương lai thật là đẹp.
Chúng tôi nghĩ rằng là bây giờ là lúc cần phải nói nhiều nhất đến cái tinh thần Trần Lập, và chính vì vậy mà hối thúc tất cả anh chị em bạn bè là sẽ tổ chức một chương trình thật ý nghĩa để dấy lên cái tinh thần đó.
Standing here, I can somehow feel how Trần Lập music, his life and his brave fight against sickness has inspired people. He may have gone, but his music, his rock spirit has remained in the hearts of thousands of people across Vietnam.
You're tuning into Culture Mosaic, our weekly journal featuring the rich cultural diversity of Vietnam. We'll bring you the latest in the domestic art scene with the contributions of both Vietnamese and foreign artists, thus connecting you with the best in local and international creativity. So don't go away, as we have a lot more in this week's instrument coming up for you in just a moment. The acclaimed British choreographer Akash Odedra wowed local audiences with his intensely personal solo pieces on stage at the Hanoi Opera House earlier this week. Trained in the classical Indian dance styles of Kathak and Brahat Nagyam, Odedra has evolved into a highly sought-after contemporary dancer in recent years. Akash sat down with our reporter Hoàng Hằng in this week's On the Mic to talk about his career and success.
Akash Odedra's performance in Hanoi opened with The Murmur, a 50-minute work with powerful visual effects. The dance piece explores Akash battles with dyslexia and how the world around him responded to his perceived disability. He has always felt that his best expression comes through movement. Murmur is his ode to that experience. Local audience have had the opportunity to see a projected stylized image of Akash sings with him and watch him spin his way through the center of a storm as pages of books take flight all around him. His work is visually beautiful and full of drama, but also touching.
The performance was actually telling a story about part of his life, and that was amazingly put together in the form of dance. And so even if you didn't know anything about his life and the dyslexia that he suffers, the dance told the story, so it was pretty amazing.
Akash was 21 when he realized his first name began with a double A. The British dance artist was flipping through his passport when it finally clicked into place, and it opened up a whole world of meaning for the dancer who have lived with dyslexia all his life.
Cái sự nhầm lẫn và rất là vất vả của anh chàng này để có thể là nhớ nổi một cái tên của mình trong mà suốt bao nhiêu năm dùng một cái passport mà không biết là trong cái passport của mình có 2 chữ A, và cuối cùng cứ nghĩ là một chữ A, và cuối cùng anh nó cũng rất là vất vả và rất là khó khăn, nhưng mà mình thấy là anh đã thể hiện toàn bộ cái nội tâm và cái cuộc sống của anh qua cái điều nhảy, và qua cái câu chuyện này nó rất là rõ.
The visual effects of Murmur are frequently breathtaking, but some of the most memorable moments occur when he is simply dancing in Kathak style with thrilling speed and fluency. The event closed with Reed, a solo of pure kinetic brilliance, as Akash took the traditional classical Indian dance and put it on a contemporary stage, creating a new sense of space for the dance piece.
Hello and welcome, Akash. Now, Murmur and Reed have been chosen for your performance in Vietnam. So what are you trying to convey to local audiences through these intensely personal solo pieces?
Murmur and Reed are two very different pieces. I think as citizens, we're no longer locked by geographical boundaries. We are now, the world has become a smaller place, so we're global citizens. Whether we're watching TV or whether we're on the internet, we can find out a lot about other countries. Whereas Indian dance was really to Indian people. The language was to the people. The aesthetics, the movements were to the people. So with these pieces, I wanted to create something which was international, which was accessible for anyone from Timbuktu to the North Pole to anywhere. So dance became a language without words. So I wanted to create a level of international expression, a level of being able to connect to humanity. So this piece really is about humanity for me.
Where did the original ideas of Murmur come from?
The original idea really came from something which was deep down inside me. Because when people speak about dyslexia, they think, oh, it's for people who are slow, dumb. It can't be the case, because Richard Branson, who's such an entrepreneur, such a great successful businessman, is dyslexic. Einstein was dyslexic. So dyslexia is actually a sign of great intelligence. And in the 21st century, as people who belong to this century, it's really strange for me that people judge everything by reading and writing. But there are many different forms of intellect. There's emotional intelligence, spatial intelligence. There's different forms of intellect. So I wanted to be able to go beyond reading and writing. I wanted to go to the point of creativity, to the point of exploring different forms of intelligence and intellect. And that's how Murmur came, because it was really to face the negative stigmas attached to dyslexia and say it's okay to be different.
So how does your struggle with dyslexia affect your career and your choreography?
I see it as a blessing, because me as a dyslexic, I view the world differently. If I'm to see this building, an ordinary person will see a building, but I see a whole scope of creativity with this building. So that creativity, that look on life affected my dance. So if I was given a dance move, I would always be able to change the dance move, because it's something which is very natural. So for me, my my dyslexia became my blessing for me.
Akash Odredra is an award-winning contemporary British dancer trained in the classical Indian dance styles of Kathak and Bharatnatyam. Despite his traditionalist sensibilities, Akash is open to experimentation. He incorporates that training with contemporary dance, both with his choreography and his creations with other choreographers later in his career.
You were originally trained in ancient Indian dance technique, so why did you choose to do contemporary?
I think contemporary means it's relevant now. Kathak, Bharatnatyam belong to eras 2000 years ago. We bring them up to here, but then I feel sometimes that you become restricted by the form, by certain parts of the structure. So what if you were to break away the building and create just a space where it's an open environment? And contemporary for me was an open environment, an open field where I could see the horizon, where I could actually have a very different relationship to space than I did with Kathak. Because in Kathak, the walls, the boundaries of this building felt restricting. Whereas with contemporary, it's more about being present in this moment, and it's also a language that people from any walk of life can understand.
Now, Kathak is the classical Indian dance form. So how do you combine Kathak with contemporary?
It's like planting a seed, then you wait for the branches to grow, and then eventually there's a flower. So for me, Kathak was a seed, and then the branches was my journey. And now the flower is a result of everything which came together, the soil, the sun, the water. So for me, to bring the essence of the soul of Kathak, the soul of storytelling. Kathak means storytelling. The soul of storytelling, and to be able to apply it in an environment which is contemporary. So you're using techniques that you've learned. You don't throw them away. You use them, but you reshape them so that they're now fitting people's thoughts. They're fitting people's visions. They're fitting people's identity. So for me, it's this idea of using the old and the new to create something which is accessible.
Akash formed the Akash Odredra Company in 2011 as a vehicle for commissioning his solo work and to develop his own choreographic work. The ability to captivate his audience through his performances produces art with unique substance and style, which should be experienced time and time again. His more recent works such as Ink and Murmur are more ambitious and critically acclaimed in many countries, paving the way for his career development in the future.
So can you tell us some of your plans in the future?
I would like to grow as a person, more than an artist, more than anything else, more than a dancer. I think my aim is to grow spiritually, and that's my ultimate aim, to really aim to something which is beyond the ego, which is beyond the stage, which is beyond the environment we're in, to really look within and grow, and that's my biggest aim in life.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Thanks so much.
The northern province of Nam Định is known as the cradle of Catholicism in Vietnam. Along with the arrival of the religion into the country came magnificent European architecture, making Nam Định a place with some of Vietnam's most beautiful cathedrals. And in this week's Connecting Cultures, let's visit some of them to discover their beauty.
Known as the land of cathedrals in Vietnam, Nam Định province is home to about 600 of them, a tenth of all cathedrals in the country. Nam Định first cathedrals were built in the late 19th century. Influenced mainly by the French style, churches here follow ecclesiastical architecture with large open spaces, high arches and rose windows, or rosées in French. Three of the more common architectural styles are Gothic, Romanesque, and Baroque. Among these, Gothic is the most popular.
Gothic Pháp là một cái phong cách Gothic mà phải nói là cái phần trang trí của nó rất là được cho nhấn mạnh. Nó khác với Gothic của Anh. Hai là cái phần ánh sáng bên trong ấy, người ta bố trí những cái cửa sổ rất là lớn, cho nên là nhất là một cái dòng Gothic người ta gọi là dòng Gothic rực sáng.
However, after entering Vietnam, this decorative style became less extreme compared with the original French. A standout among Gothic cathedrals in Nam Định province, Phú Nhai Cathedral was given the title of minor basilica by Pope Benedict XVI in 2008, becoming the fourth in Vietnam.
Cái răng mái ở trên này, răng từ mái thượng ra tuột đến ngoài này. Đấy, chứ không phải là họ chỉ có nằm ở cái khung này, như cái ở ta thì chỉ có nằm đến cái trụ giữa này là có một cái xà ngang, không phải, mà họ kéo tuột từ trên mái ra đến cạnh ngoài này.
In contrast to Gothic, the Baroque style is considered the rarest in Vietnam. Bùi Chu is one of the few cathedrals with this design. It was built in 1885 and belongs to the Bùi Chu diocese, the largest group of Catholics in Vietnam. Even after 100 years, the cathedral still retains many significant features of Baroque architecture.
Riêng Baroque thì phải nói là kiến trúc nhà thờ Baroque phải nói là rất là hiếm có ở Việt Nam. Kiến trúc Baroque nó là một kiến trúc mà nó mang cái tính trang trí rất là mạnh, sử dụng rất nhiều những cái đường cong uốn lượn.
These architectural styles may not seem too different at first. However, they can be distinguished by the different shapes of the arch, which is pointed in Gothic, rounded in Romanesque, and trefoiled in the Baroque style. No matter which style might have been used, combinations of Vietnamese and French architecture can be seen in several cathedrals around Nam Định.
Mái vòm này thì bên trên là cũng kèo như Á Đông, nhưng mà bên dưới là những cái quấn, nó tạo thành những cái quấn này nó ăn liền cùng một khối, và đồng thời nó đồng bộ cả với những cái quấn, ba quấn.
Hệ thống cột gỗ theo đúng kiểu Việt Nam, cột được kê trên các cái phiến đá như là ở các cái công trình cổ truyền Việt Nam, tức là chùa, đình, đền, là các cái công trình cổ Việt Nam.
In order to harmonize the features of East and West, cathedral pillars were built at about 11 meters and thereby higher than in Vietnamese pagodas and temples. Besides, local Catholics have also adopted other features of Vietnamese architecture, such as gilding the main altar. Overcoming the challenges of time, cathedrals in Nam Định province have beautifully preserved the trace of French ecclesiastical architecture. Additionally, Vietnamese perspectives have been integrated, giving a national identity to the religion.
And that is the end of our program. If you would like to provide feedback or comment on anything here on Culture Mosaic, please feel free to write us at culturemosaic@vtv.vn and make sure to include your name and address. You can also log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go for more of our programs. So don't forget to join us next week for another episode of our program. This is Dai Chang and goodbye for now.